Hey everyone, today's assignment on Monday, February 11th, 2013 is the World War II map exercise. And we're kind of finishing up World War II, getting into more of the Cold War part of this unit. So when you are completing an assignment, it's Unit 5, Session 3, Assignment 1. And we go into, let me see, go into Unit 5. I don't know why it's going so slow this morning. And go into session 3. Okay, and it's the last session of this unit, so we'll have a post-assessment at the end of this these two assignments for this week. So the first one is the map exercise. That's the assignment for today. There's only 2 assignments due this week. And so the next assignment is going to be a project, so it's going to take the rest of the week. So for the map exercise, this is how you should do this. It would make it a lot easier to answer the worksheet if you do the following. You need to do the reading, so go ahead and view the reading. And basically the reading is talking about the Arcadia Conference, what they talked about there, what they established, who was there. It's talking about Winston Churchill and how Great Britain felt like, or the UK felt like they should be leading the military effort. But when it came down to it, the United States really took over the military effort for the Allied powers because they had more manpower than Great Britain, and they had more production capabilities. They were able to make more weapons than Great Britain. But Great Britain felt like they should lead the military effort because they had more experience. They had been in the war already for 2 years before the United States joined in 1941. So the war had been going on since 1939 with Germany before Pearl Harbor happened in 41 and the United States entered. So that's what this reading is talking about. When you get into the worksheet, I would suggest, and you look at these questions, if you just try to answer these questions right off the bat, or you try to go into the maps, it's going to be frustrating for you. So what I would suggest doing, take a look at all these questions, and then go and view the maps before you go through and look at the maps and the narration in the maps before you start answering these questions. So when I talk about the narration, if you go into map 1, it will go over the different, well, this one, I would go through this one, just skim through this one. This one will just show you different, it'll have narrations. If you click on the different things and read through this, it will give you an idea of what's going on and how different territories, different countries are changing hands. It will tell you about, down here in the right hand corner, it will tell you about who's the Allied powers and who's the Axis powers. When you click on the different years, which is going to help you with the question. So if it asks you a question about 1941, or if it asks you a question about like the eve of World War II, and you're talking about Europe, this one's talking about mainly Europe and Soviet Union part of Asia. But the map changes as you click the different years. You could also click these to see the effect of World War II had on each country, and you click on this and casualties by each country. So you could go through every year and see how different things. So you can see like in 1941, Germany's pushing this way. Then you can see in 1942, Germany had reached as far as they're going to go. 43, USSR, the Soviet Union starts pushing back. They start going the opposite direction. So they're going to start taking back this territory that Germany already took over. 44, Soviet Union is pushing this way, and they're almost getting to Germany. And then 45, USSR retakes all these countries that's part of USSR, and they push all the way back to Germany. Okay, so that's the first map. Go through all the maps. If you're talking about, let's see, map number 2, which one is this? This is a map of Eastern Europe. And you can play the narration and what's going on in Eastern Europe. You play this, and the narrator tells you what's going on in Eastern Europe. I would play through this and see, what it allows to say. It's only 2 minutes and 31 seconds. That way you can refer back and think, how do I answer the questions in the worksheet? I remember watching this animation on Eastern Europe on map number 2. It also has number 1942 to 45. So in 42 to 45, remember Germany was pushing this way and USSR is pushing that way. So if you push the play
In
button.
the spring of 1942, Hitler ordered his forces to advance southwards towards the USSR's oil fields in the Caucasus region.
Okay, so there's a narration, okay? So make sure you go through all these maps and play through all those narrations. It will make it easier to answer the worksheet. So if you pull up the worksheet, let's say we're answering number 1. I'm going to go ahead and answer number 1 for you. Who are the major imperial powers in East Asia on the eve of the Second World War? We're just going to say one imperial power. And if you go to map number 3, you know it was asking about East Asia for the worksheet. So go to Asia, and then click on a map, because it's the eve of World War II, so you're talking about 1939 and 45. So 39 is the start of World War II. 40, it started in 41 for the United States. So if you listen to this map, it will talk about Japan as the major imperial power in this time. It will talk about why Japan was such a threat at this time, because you're answering the question, who are the major imperial powers in the eve of the Second World War? And that's the first branch. Which of these imperial powers seem to be the most threatening to the other powers in the region? Explain. It's going to be Japan. And if you watch so it's going to be Japan up here, and this is going to be Japan again, and then you need to explain why there was such a threat to the powers in the region. You could explain that. You could learn about that by playing this narration. It will talk about why Japan was such a threat in the area. Let me play a little bit of that.
Throughout the 1930s, Japan had built up an empire in the Far East. It invaded Manchuria in northeast China in 1931, and then moved deeper into the country in 1937. By July 1941, Japan had flooded French Indochina, now Vietnam, with troops. Japan's aims were clear. The Japanese wanted to be the dominant power in Asia and remove the power and influence of the Europeans and the Americans from the region. War with Japan.
Okay, so that's really answering the question right there on the worksheet. It just answered the question, why were they such a threat to the powers in the region? So, it answers it right there in that first one. So it was the Asian map. If you go to Asia and then click on 1939 to 45, you can play that part that I just played and answer the question right there. Okay, so make sure you do all that for this exercise. Answer all the questions in the worksheet. When it talks about if you don't have a good knowledge of geography in this area, this assignment's going to really teach you. So, really, this assignment's going to take some time to get through this assignment if you don't know geography really well. But I would suggest starting by looking through the maps first and playing the narration of the different maps before you start answering the questions. It will make answering the questions easier. All right? That's all I have for you right now, and if you have any questions about any of these or anything, you can always email me or text me, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.